Welcome. In this video, I would like to address the topic of financial literacy from a student's perspective. I won't address the details of paying for tuition or room and board, as these costs are often covered by parents or employers. Rather, I want to focus on the items that you, as with all students, can exert control over. When I interview my friends and colleagues about the topic of financial literacy, the most commonly suggested topic is usually phrased as teach the students how to manage money. So I went back to my friends and I asked them specifically, what should I address in a YouTube video? And from the conversations that I've had, I've come up with a few items that I think will apply to almost all college students. I made a list of the most common suggestions that I learned when talking to my friends. And I put them here in a list so you have a visual reference. The most common suggestion was brew coffee at home. Now, granted, you may not be living in the domicile in which you were raised. You may be living in a dormitory or in an apartment, but it's likely that you're allowed to have a coffee maker within your residence on campus. If that's true, brewing your own coffee can save you a lot of money. The cost of coffee at a shop can easily run more than $4 a cup, and that adds up. 1 cup of coffee a day at $4 a cup is $20 by the end of the school week. Whereas I carry a thermal cup to hold my coffee. Now, granted, this cup costs me about $20 on Amazon, but I can brew 20 ounces of coffee at home for about 25 cents. And I buy fairly fancy coffee from Italy. So if I'm spending $1.25 a week on my coffee, plus my $20 coffee mug, which those mugs usually last me a year and a half. And then I get klutzy and I drop them and dent them and then have to buy a new one. But in any regard, I've come out ahead by the end of the week. Well, let me do the math in my head. $4 for a cup at a coffee shop times 5 days in the week is $20. Okay. By the Monday of the second week, I've come out ahead compared to my students who are buying their coffee at a coffee shop. The second most common bit of advice from my friends is to start saving now. Put a certain percentage of your earned income, if you have a job, away in a long-term savings plan. Whether you choose to buy stock or whether you mutual fund or whether you choose to just save the money in a bank account is up to you. But start saving now. At a typical college age of about 18 to 25 years old, you're going to have easily 40 years in which to accrue interest on the money that you start saving now. The earlier you start saving, the more money you will have when you retire. This is the magic of compounding interest. Now, I caution against fads in investment, such as investing in cryptocurrencies and trying to be the first one in on the next big thing. take sound advice from a financial planner and use that advice to intelligently and safely invest your money now. Now, whether you start with just 5 or 10% of your earnings, whatever you're able to put away will offer greater benefit later in life when you need to spend that money to buy a house or to pay for your retirement. I don't specifically advise against the use of credit cards, but I caution to use the cards carefully. Pay off your balance before it comes due. Don't spend money on interest that accrues because you haven't paid off your balance at the end of the billing period. Don't put more on your credit card than you'll be able to pay off by the time the bill comes due. So, using a credit card can give you up to a month's worth of float. Make sure any purchase you put on that credit card, you'll be able to pay off when that bill comes due at the end of the month. Be very careful of the advertisements that you receive for new credit cards. The credit card companies are savvy, and they know that college students may not be aware of the hidden gotchas with credit cards. So don't believe the ads that you receive prima facie. Investigate them carefully and make an informed choice when you choose to sign up for a credit card. Regarding income tax withholding, you want to carefully choose the amount of exemptions that you record in your IRS W-4 form. Now, granted, this is specific to U.S. college students, but it's possible that if you're watching this video and you live in a different country, you have a similar exemption allowed on your tax withholdings. Match the number of exemptions on your IRS W-4 form to your actual savings needs. And at first, I didn't think this was a big deal until multiple friends told me stories about their children having recorded an insufficient number of exemptions and therefore having too much money withheld from their paycheck each pay period. And while that money comes back to the children at the end of the year when they file a request for a refund, it's actually the interest on that money has been lost because that's money that could have been invested in an interest-bearing savings account, and over the course of the year, easily tens or hundreds of dollars could have been lost to the children because they didn't have the income from the interest of having invested that money. In other words, they had literally loaned the federal government and the state governments money to use for a year at no return interest. I advise you to live below your means. Now, this takes practice and requires quite a bit of discipline. But practicing living below your means now can create skills that will last you a lifetime. Don't compete with your friends to buy things. Just because your friends have the latest fashion trend or the latest computer or the latest gaming console, don't buy it just because they have it. This adage of don't keep up with the Joneses still applies. Now, for many years, I have advised my friends and my acquaintances there's two ways to be wealthy in life. One is to make a lot of money. The other is to not spend a lot of money. And to make a lot of money requires life choices. Everything is in a balance in one's life. And if you want to have time for vacations and for friends and for family, you can't constantly be working at making money. So another way to create financial wealth is just don't spend all of the money that you do earn. Save as much as you can for as long as you can. Create a budget and live within your budget. Allocate an allowance for entertainment, for clothing, for life necessities such as food and the costs of transportation, and live within that budget. If you allocate yourself $20 a week for entertainment, out of that has to come the costs of any movies you attend, as well as restaurants that you visit. Live within that budget. Now, I'm going to date myself a bit, but when I was in college, I lived on $5 a week. Every week, my parents would mail me a check withdrawing $5 from my savings account. And out of that $5, I had to buy my beer, my toothpaste, my shaving cream, all my life necessities. Now, granted, I went to school at a time when the drinking age was 18. That's not true for most of you today. But I paid for everything in my life out of that $5 other than my tuition and my room and board, which my parents covered for me. So I don't expect that you can live on $5 a week today, but whatever your budgeted amount is, live within that budget. And by the way, if you are able to, cook as much as you can at home rather than eating in a restaurant. For me, a typical night at even a pizza restaurant is just, for my wife and me, will run to close to $30, maybe more. On the other hand, if I were to go to the supermarket and purchase a frozen pizza and a few sodas, I could easily have similar food for less than $10. Don't forget to budget to take care of your vehicle. If you're a commuter student, that vehicle is a necessity for your college work. Yes, you have to put gas in it, and you're going to have to pay for your insurance. But don't forget the maintenance on the vehicle. You have to regularly change the oil. You'll probably have to rotate your tires at least once a year. You'll replace your tires usually at about 40,000 miles. And you have to keep the car clean in the winter if you live in an area where road salt is used. So if you live in a northern area where road salt is used during the winter, you've got to wash the car either after each major storm or at least every couple weeks during the winter. And because you can't wash a car at home in the winter without it freezing in place, you have to use an automated car wash. And for me, an automated car wash generally costs about $12. You have to budget for that if you live in an area where road salt is used during the winter. The last bit of advice came from very close friends, and it was carry water. Not in the sense of carrying water because it's healthy for you. But carrying water in a reusable container is less expensive than buying pre-bottled water. And this is true. I have a water bottle that I like to carry. I've had it for many years. I am able to wash it in the dishwasher. I can sanitize it with soap and hydrogen peroxide if it gets really dirty. But I don't buy bottled water. So not only am I being ecologically appropriate, I'm saving money because I'm filling the water from my own filter in my refrigerator. Now, you may not live in an apartment or a dormitory that has filtered water at the refrigerator, but you can still drink tap water in most areas. It's vital that you learn to be responsible in regard to your finances. Learning now as a college student how to budget and how to control your finances will help you develop the skills that you can carry over into later life. Learn now how to create a budget, how to live within the budget, and how to save money. I wish you the very best as you practice budgeting and saving during your college years. Bye for now.